What else can fill the void of the NFL season but mock drafts? I mean, the NHL isn't doing it for me. The NBA isn't doing it for me. So what else do I have to fill the sports void? What else? It has to be mock drafts. So that's what we're going to do in today's video. We're going to do a 7-round Cowboys mock. Let's not waste any time and get into the video. Now, if you have any problems with how this draft falls, you say this couldn't possibly happen in real life, that guy's not making it to the 2nd round, that guy's not making it to the 5th round, take it up with NFL Mock Draft Database. I just take the best player available, fill the holes that I think the Cowboys need to fill, and be extremely happy and dream about this possibly happening. So let's just go ahead and get into the first pick at number 12. And going into this pick, off the bat, I saw Ashton Jeanty go before 12, so my immediate thought was maybe trading back. I discussed on the channel with Foots that Dallas is thinking about, if they can't get Ashton Jeanty, that they will trade out of 12, try to pick up a 3rd round, early 4th round pick, and considering Dallas doesn't have a 4th rounder, I would take that scenario. But we didn't trade back out of 12 in this mock because Ted McMillan, the Arizona wide receiver, was sitting there. Now, we've talked about McMillan a little bit, or a lot of bit, on this channel. The thought process behind this pick is getting CeeDee Lamb some help. We've talked about it numerous times. Dallas has to find a NFL level wide receiver, someone that can consistently get open, make plays, especially when Lamb is being bracketed. You need somebody else. Jalen Tolbert, I think he's a good wide receiver 3. He's an average wide receiver 3, but when you ask him to be a number 2, or even if Lamb's not in there, be a number 1, it's just not going to happen. So I would have no problem in the 1st round taking a wide receiver, whether that is Ted McMillan, who we took in this mock draft, Luther Burden, Emeka Egbuka, although with Egbuka, I'd like to move back a little bit more, not necessarily at 12. But with Ted McMillan, you're getting a 6'3", 6'4", 6'5" receiver, 212 pounds, and right off the bat, he just out-athletics everybody. He's long. He's got extremely long arms. He's a little bit lanky, probably needs to put a little bit of mass on his frame, but the ball skills are super impressive. He tracks the ball extremely well, and for being as tall as he is, he moves extremely well. He's got long strides. He can run quick. He can change direction. He can control his body in the air on contested catch situations, close to the sideline, all of that stuff. He is a legitimate 1st round wide receiver. Just based on the physical tools alone, I would take Ted McMillan in the 1st round. So if Ted does fall to 12, which is totally a possibility, this isn't the guy that I was talking about, you guys giving me crap about, there's no way he makes it to there. I think it's totally possible that Ted does make it to 12 because people are worried about the play strength, which is something that I wrote in my notes. I have questions about how well he's going to hold up against NFL-sized corners, guys that are bigger, faster, stronger, because he doesn't play well when guys rough him up or guys make contact when he's going across the field. I have questions about that, but the good thing for him is coming into Dallas, you don't need him to be a number 1 wide receiver. You don't need him to have 100 targets on the year. He would be a complement to CeeDee Lamb, and if you take McMillan, I think you need a plan for him. Have a strength plan, have a way to put a little bit of mass on his frame, and also help him out a little bit with rub routes, maybe some wide receiver screens underneath, because I think he's better after the catch than I initially expected when I watched his film earlier in the process. So I would have no problem with Dallas taking Ted McMillan. So we don't trade back. So at number 44, we're going to take Omarion Hampton, the running back from UNC Chapel Hill. This is probably the one I have most questions about actually happening because Hampton for me is a late 1st, early 2nd round guy. I think it's Jeanty and then Hampton and then a little bit more down, Caleb Johnson. I do see a difference, obviously, between Jeanty and Hampton. Hampton went at 44, Jeanty went at 8. I don't see that big of a jump. I could certainly see a team, even in night 1 of the draft, taking Hampton, or he's going to be one of the first 3 players off the board when we go into day 2. But in this mock, we get lucky. You get a really productive college running back, productive in 2023 and 2024. He has impressive contact balance. He can easily maintain his footing, insane lower half power. It's hard to knock a guy like this off his spot. And every single time that you do make contact with him, you are going to feel it, and he's going to drag you for another 2 to 3 yards. He has good north-south burst. He can get through gaps. He has good vision. And I think as I evaluated him, he is a true every down back that has the ability to carry a heavy workload in the NFL year over year. I think you're getting a number 1 running back, maybe not the explosiveness, home run ability of a guy like Genty, but I do think Hampton can be a solid top 5 to 8 running back in the league, especially if he goes to a team that has a decent to good offensive line, and he might be better than Genty at least earlier in his career because he's playing behind a good offensive line. If Hampton is still there at 44, 100%, get your running back 1 of the future. He is plug and play ready for 2025. You get him here in the 2nd round, you plug him, play, and I think you're happy with it. So let's go on to pick number 3, or in the 3rd round. That's going to be Maxwell Hairston, the Kentucky corner. And the more and more I think about this Cowboys roster, the injuries at the corner position, just the uncertainty around that spot, I think you have to really consider taking a corner with one of your top 100 picks. You have Deron Bland, Trayvon Diggs, Jordan Lewis, Kalen Carson. And we don't even know if Trayvon Diggs or Jordan Lewis will even be playing for the Cowboys in 2025. Diggs has his injury that he's been dealing with. It seems like that's been really kept under wraps. We don't know how bad it is, what the timeline looks like for him returning. And then Jordan Lewis is a free agent, and he could possibly get a deal that Dallas doesn't want to match. I think there's a ton of questions around your cornerback room, and spending a top 100 pick on a guy like Maxwell Hairston would go a long way into making me feel better about your ability to cover with Bland on one side. Maybe you can retain Lewis. Diggs might not be back in 2025, but at least you have Hairston on the other side with Kalen Carson possibly competing with him. And Hairston was a guy that we saw down at the Senior Bowl in Mobile. I thought he was extremely sticky. He probably had the best week beside Quincy Riley, the Louisville corner. I thought he was super sticky. He played the ball in the air extremely well. Didn't get too grabby, too handsy. And overall, I like him a lot as a prospect. I haven't gotten down into like the nitty gritty of watching his college film yet at Kentucky, but just overall seeing him, he's built like an NFL corner. Getting him in the 3rd round is really good value. So, of course, Dallas doesn't have a 4th round pick, so we go to round 5 with pick 150. And the difference in these rounds, this is what's killing me with the Jonathan Mingo trade. Although I think people are a little hard on Mingo. I'm not sure he's really worth a 4th round pick where you have to wait around for 80 picks because you don't have a 4th rounder and you start missing out on quite a few names that I really, really like. So in the 5th round at pick number 150, we're going to take Savion Jones, the LSU edge. He's 6'6", 280. He had 5 sacks in 2024, 32 hurries with 6 quarterback hits, and a 15.1% pass rush win rate. Now, I haven't gotten to watch his film yet either. I'm only about 70-ish players in. Now, I don't think defensive end for the Cowboys is out of the equation because we don't know if DeMarcus Lawrence is on his way out. It's looking likely. Then you have a 2nd round pick in Marshawn Nealon that missed quite a bit of time in 2024. He didn't look great while he was out there. Not saying he was terrible. You have Sam Williams coming back from the ACL injury. You don't know where he's going to be at. So I think that edge is a consideration depending on what you do in free agency. Can you get Carl Lawson back? Does that move the needle on taking a guy in the 5th round, a guy with this kind of physical skill set, 6'5", 280, really good college production in the SEC? I don't think you're mad at that, especially at pick number 150. So we knock out the edge position. I didn't really like any of the interior defensive guys at that spot. Savion Jones was really sticking out. Let's head to pick number 170. And this is where it really starts to get fun for the Cowboys. Assuming they don't move any of these 5th round picks for players during the offseason, you have a run of picks that get me really excited because there's a bunch of names in there that I really, really like. And so at pick 170, let's start with Jeffrey Bassa, another guy that we saw down at the Senior Bowl. I thought he was phenomenal. Much like DeMarvion Overshown from Texas, Bassa is a safety turn linebacker, and you can really tell with the way that he moves around the field. You can tell some of the coverage instincts, and when we were down there in Alabama, Bassa was one of the fastest players of the day, or the fastest player of the day, based on their tracking that they were wearing on day one in Mobile. He was all over the place. You could see it in team drills. You could see it when they were doing one-on-ones with the linebackers and running backs. Bassa has sideline-to-sideline ability, held up well in one-on-one coverage against the running backs. He's a solid tackler. He actually has one of the lowest missed tackle rates in college football this year for linebackers. And overall, the Cowboys need linebacker help. You have DeMarvion Overshown, who might miss all of 2025 too. You have Maris Leofau. Eric Kendricks is a free agent. He was here because of Mike Zimmer. Will he be back in 2025? We don't know. Right now, the only legitimate name you have at linebacker is Maris Leofau. So I think in the 5th round, getting Jeffrey Bassa, a sure tackler, somebody with sideline-to-sideline ability, as many holes as this team has, I'm not sure any of them are as big as they are at linebacker. You don't really have any NFL players. Will he fall to the 5th round? I don't know. Nothing's impossible. He was sitting there in the 5th round, so I had to take him. Now, 1 pick later, or 2 picks later, whatever, there's 1 pick in between this one, pick number 172, and we're going to take Billy Bowman, Oklahoma safety, a position that the Cowboys have heavily neglected for years and years. Now, spending a top, or a 5th round pick on a safety certainly isn't putting a whole lot of assets into it, but Billy Bowman at 172, I am in. This is a guy that plays fast. He's got really incredible range. There was a play that he had on Luther Burden where he just worked his way all the way across the formation. Burden tried to make him miss. Bowman didn't fall for it. He's got really good closing speed, recovery speed. He plays well in coverage. You can put him down in the box. It's just the overall athleticism and instincts. He's a little bit undersized, but I don't really care. For Dallas, we have no idea what's going to happen with Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, Wanye Thomas, other guys in that position group. So if you can get a guy like Billy Bowman, who maybe slides because of the physical tools or the size, you get an instinctual safety and you have a number of things that you can do with him. I am totally in on Billy Bowman. Once again, 1 pick later, 172, 173, now we're at 174 in the 5th round. I had Dallas taking Luke Kandra, the Cincinnati offensive guard. Kandra at Cincinnati played right guard nearly every single snap over the past 3 years. And with the uncertainty around Zach Martin, Brock Hoffman being a restricted free agent, do you trust TJ Bass at right guard as a starter over 17 games? If those 2 guys aren't back, you take Luke Kandra, somebody with a ton of experience at right guard. Hell, even if Martin is back in 2025, I would 100% take a guard in the 5th round. I think you got to start having some sort of plan for that spot moving forward because you can't even guarantee Martin's going to play an entire season. And Luke Kandra, I'm not really even sure how you say that. He has a really nice frame, 6'4", 323. He can hold up on the interior, and I'm all for throwing darts at the offensive line in any way that you can. If you want to take an offensive tackle you think can be a guard, then do that. I want the Cowboys to get back to that smash mouth run game that we miss so much. And it starts with figuring out what you're going to do at right guard. 16 picks later, at number 190, let's take Jack Kaiser. Once again, another linebacker. Kaiser is a little bit of an older prospect. He's not as athletically gifted as other backers are in this class, and he's really more so of a tweener. He's 231 pounds. He's right above that mark where Overshown was when he got drafted to the Cowboys. I think the most appealing thing here in the 5th round is a high floor guy. With how the Cowboys linebacker room is looking right now, the good thing with Kaiser is he's seen a lot of football, he's played a lot of football, and I'll hang my hat on that and the fact that you can probably put a couple pounds on his frame and feel better about where he's at. So let's get to our last two picks. Post 200. We're deep in the draft at this point. At number 211, we're going to select Tyler Show, quarterback from Louisville. You know, by this point, I take a quarterback in nearly every single mock draft that I do, especially when you start getting into that 5th, 6th, 7th rounds, because this team needs someone else. They got to throw a dart at quarterback this year because they just haven't done it in so long, other than the Ben DiNucci pick, which obviously didn't work out, you know. Tyler Show is a little bit older. He'll be 26 years old as a rookie. He played years of college football, which blows my mind because Show is the same age as me, and I couldn't imagine still playing football since I graduated high school in 2018. With Show, he has a really nice floor. At Louisville, he had a really nice 2024 season. He can throw the ball deep. He can get through his progressions. He's big, strong in the pocket. He has a NFL arm. I saw him down in Mobile, and I didn't think he was all that impressive, but when you throw on the Louisville tape, this dude can sling it. Like, he's got a really nice release. He looks like an NFL quarterback with the way that he's able to read, throw on time, throw into windows. Like, it was really impressive. I could definitely see a team watching his film, if he does well in the classroom, does well in his interviews, betting on those abilities, even if he is a little bit of an older prospect, and him not being there in the 7th round. But quarterbacks are weird. You never know how the league is going to really value these guys. Taking him at 211, if he's there, awesome. If he's not, and someone decided to spend a 3rd round pick on him, awesome. Completely stay away from that. With our last pick in this mock draft, how long are we into this video? Woo, we are cooking. At number 249, let's take Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt, the Arizona running back. When I was watching Ted McMillan a month ago, I noticed this guy on a couple of runs and sparked my interest on who is this guy? Is he draft eligible? Why isn't there a ton of film on him in 2024? And before we talk about the player, I do want to point out that I've said from the beginning, if you want to completely revamp this backfield, if you want to change everything to do with the running backs in Dallas right now, then do it in this draft. Take 2 running backs, whether that's in the 1st round and the 5th round, whether that's in the 2nd round and the 7th round. It doesn't matter. Now, I know that taking one this late in the draft, you're probably not getting a game-changing back, but you already have one of those with Omarion Hampton that we took in the 2nd. So Krosky-Merritt could compete with Malik Davis. If you decide to bring Rico Dowdle back for a decent price, he could be in there, or maybe Rico comes back for 1 year. You have Hampton, Rico, Merritt moves into that 2nd slot in 2026. But Merritt is a change of pace. He is quick. He's got nice feet. He doesn't have elite breakaway speed, but he has enough to where he's not getting tracked down from behind consistently. And I think this guy is a sleeper because he didn't get to play in 2024. He actually played just 1 game, because there are some red flags with his eligibility stuff, and I'm really curious as to what all of that is. Why did he not get to play in 2024, but just 1 game, and that was against New Mexico State? And if you take a guy at number 249, at that point, it's really just about drafting a running back that you don't want to fight for in the undrafted free agent pool. Krosky-Merritt turned out to be that guy. So that's going to conclude today's mock draft. I'm going to put all of the picks up here on the screen. If you like this mock draft, let me know down below in the comments. If you don't like it, let me know down below in the comments why you don't. Please leave this video a like so other people can see it, other fans that like these mock draft videos. Leave a like, comment your opinions, thoughts. I love you all. Bye.